if I have 50 devices and I have 5 groups, so I assign 10 groups to group A, 10 to group B, 10 to group C, and so on and so forth. So either I can track A1, that's the first GPS in group A, or I can track all the 10 GPSs of group A, or I can track all 50 GPSs simultaneously. So this is what we wanted, and this is what we have done. We have negated the use of internet. We have negated the use of Google Maps. We kept it very simple. This is a snapshot of the MS Access data table getting populated automatically as the SMS keep coming in. And this is a snapshot of the GPS coordinates getting plotted onto the raster-based maps that we use on Geomedia Professional. On the left side, here in the legend, you can see those groups that have been created. And in brackets, just next to the groups, you see the number of GPS devices that are reporting their position. On the map, presently, you see 2 icons. Even in the legend, you will see David Cotter. In the bracket, you will see 2. The 2 GPSs presently reporting their position, and they have been plotted onto the screen. The refresh rate that I am getting on, that I have worked out on the map window is 1 refresh per second. So that is not the periodicity of the SMS coming in, but since all the GPS devices are not synchronized, all the GPSs are not sending one SMS every 10 seconds at the same time, so I may be getting an SMS at a particular time and I may get another SMS in the next 1 second. So the refresh in the map is 1 per second. So we worked out a real-time tracking of mobile assets using GPS, no internet, no gateways, no client servers, own topo sheets, tried and tested, it meets our requirements. Yesterday one of the speakers said कि कोई भी यूनिवर्सिटी का छोकरा खड़ा होके he'll work out open source and he has tracking ready. Yes, that chokra is standing in front of you. I did work it out my way. The next thing that we worked out was a radio set based GPS tracking system. The aim was to exploit available communication protocol within the organization, and also when we are operating in certain regions where GSM even is not available, say the hilly and the forest regions of Assam, the further reaches of Arunachal, and there are places where even GSM has not been extended. So that is the time when we have our own communication protocol. So why not try integrating GPS into it? GPS devices existed, the communication existed. The only thing was to work out a via media of integrating the two. APRS is an automatic position reporting protocol. It's been designed by an American mariner called Bob Berninga. He designed this AX25 unnumbered packets. It's basically a protocol designed for the ham radios, this amateur radio network. They use a number of repeaters called digipeaters. It works on the VHF and UHF bands. There is a feature which provides iGates if you want to get this data onto the internet. Though we have not used iGates, we just used digipeaters. A SURF20 GPS chipset using RS-232 has been used. You can configure the device. A call sign can be assigned, periodicity, symbol, path, data formats. You can either select the $GPRMC, which is the minimum requirement, or you can convert it into a MyKey. That's another format of the AX25. A TNC is used for geocoding. And I have carried out my trials on the Stars V radio set. That's a brand of radio sets that we have available. It's an indigenous radio set. This is the software that I've used. It's a UIView 32. Again, topo sheets, what we're using in the Army. This is a snapshot of the devices that are commercially available in case the GPS tracking industry is interested. Reasons: the police in J&K, in Jammu as well as in Srinagar are using radio set based GPS tracking systems. They are not using GPRS based, they are using radio set based tracking systems. Now the two PCB or the printed boards that you see on the right, the size is just 1.5 inches by 4.5 inches. This thing has got a tracking device and the radio set embedded. All you need to do is just plug in the GPS that you can see next to it and you're ready to go. That's the size of the device. It's an independent real-time GPS tracking system. You're not dependent on any third-party service provider for either communication or for any kind of a web application. It's a desktop solution with internal communication protocol. The ranges that I have been able to achieve was about 45 to 50 kilometers in deserts. That was with elevated antenna. We had put in a 5 kilometer GPEA, what we call the ground plane elevated antenna. It's an antenna we use. It was put on top of 35R, that's the height of the sand dune. A 35 meter high sand dune ke upar we had put a 5 meter antenna. And since VHF is line of sight, the curvature of Earth changes at about 29 kilometers. You can't see beyond 29. So by extending the height of the range antenna, we were able to achieve about 45 kilometers in deserts. In hills, it was about 15 kilometers. There are certain miscellaneous aspects which I thought I should share with you based on certain experiences that I have had over the last years interacting with certain service providers and hardware manufacturers and software developers in the industry. We have been talking about this aspect since yesterday, and that is standardization of the GPS equipment, which is a very major issue. I don't think it needs any more deliberation. But yes, there is a need for all of us to start looking beyond Navstar. We had a talk on the Gagan and GLONASS, and we're also talking of the IENRSS, I think that's Gagan only, coming up. It was supposed to be coming up, a commission in March 2012. It's been shelved for about 2 years. But once the IRNSS comes in, what does it have in store for us? Since the entire design of INRSS is different from the available 5 constellations today, the Navstar, the GLONASS, the Galileo, or the BIRU, these are the 4 constellations. The GPS satellites, they are flung into space about between 18 to 22 kilometers. These satellites which we are going in for are the geostationary, which are going to be at 36 kilometers. That's the height at which you generally put communication satellites. Now, the other constellations have a network of about 24 to 30 satellites. This is going to be just 5 satellites hovering constantly or rather geographically stationary over the Indian subcontinent. So, it's going to be a localized kind of a positional accuracy service being provided only within the Indian subcontinent, and it's not going to cover the entire globe. So, that is something which we do need to look into. Security is a national issue. It's not an issue for the defense services alone. Today, if there's a war, I think the nation goes to a war. And the support from the industry is mandatory. Today, I feel the industry is not looking towards defense applications. So, it is an earnest request that you all do need to extend your hands to support defense requirements as well. I personally felt that the awareness among the consumers is lacking. Though you do find regionalized awareness workshops being conducted at universities, I've seen them happening in Chandigarh, I've seen them happening in Delhi. But the level of participation from the industry, I personally felt that it was not up to the mark as far as making the end user aware of what all is available, what all it can do for them. Then application development, which I personally felt this should be developed based on requirements. The biggest lacuna in our environment today is that thinkers become developers or developers become thinkers. When thinkers start developing or the developers start thinking, the outcome is going to be warped. You need to have the thinker joining hands with the developer. The service provider needs to understand the end user's requirement. I think we have all been educated on something called the SDLC life cycle, the software development life cycle concept. It starts off with an interaction with the consumer. But in our environment today, the developer develops whatever he understands best, and then he lumps it onto the end user. कि भाई साहब ये है, इस्तेमाल करना करो, नहीं तो चलता बनो. Which I feel is wrong. Then I also felt that you need to have a modular implementation of an application. Rather than lumping 10 functionalities onto me, I may want only 5. Why are you giving me the balance 10? You are going to charge me for 10, but if I want 5, just give me 5. So the approach is have a modular approach rather than lumping a bundled solution. If I don't want a temperature gauge going into my engine, why are you giving it to me? And so on and so forth, on those lines. I think I've already talked of these aspects, awareness workshops and thinkers becoming developers, and industry to look towards military requirements. I think I have kept within the time this thing. Anybody having any questions?